on the topic of mods, I'm getting a computer upgrade soon, and I'm hoping, that'll allow me to play more games, because my computer's getting quite old now. I think it's about 6 years old. It's the oldest computer I've ever owned in my life, and I'm a lifetime gamer, just the way life has been these last 6 years. But the way trolling's been in the past isn't why I stopped modding. It was a contributing factor, but it isn't why I stopped modding. I stopped modding because I was hosting mods on my own site because I didn't trust sites like Nexus after the way they behaved. So I still haven't used Nexus. I've been on Nexus as a user for, what, 12 years? If it's on Nexus I don't use it, it's as simple as that. I know a lot of people have a hard time backing up their words, like, oh, I don't like that site, I don't like that user, I don't like that mod. But then they sneak on a different account to get it, and your Facebook, they block people and then make a second account so they can spy on the people they blocked. It's not me. If I say bye, I mean bye. If a game comes along which I feel is good enough to mod, and but has enough issues with it that requires a modding thing, that's usually what gets my interest. It's a game that I see which is great on its own but could be vastly improved with a few changes, then you'll see me modding for certain. As for modding older games like Skyrim and stuff, I did like modding Bethesda's games. I did. It's a good little engine. I see a lot of people that don't mod slagging off the engine, but to be honest, it's a good engine. Bethesda don't fix bugs properly. Admittedly, that messes things up really big time for modders. But generally, it's a good little system, and I'd praise Bethesda for keeping it running as long as they did. Although we all know it's their inability to fix bugs that's causing the problems now. Not many games have that kind of modding support, and to be honest, when people say they should update their engine, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't, because by updating the engine might mean you do less modding. There's less support for modding, right? What they need to do, they need to get the engine updated in respect where the updated existing engine, not replace it completely with something that might not be as good. That's my opinion as a modder. I made 32 large quest mods for the Elder Scrolls. That's not ego, that's just a fact. 32 large quest mods in my name. Well, some of them weren't large, they were medium size, but you get the idea. So, if Bethesda watching this, I'd say you need to fix the bugs in your engine as well as adding new code and new features. That's where I'd put my effort. As for Bethesda themselves, people have said they're having a bad reputation this year because of Fallout 76. Yeah, basically. Is it a new thing? No, they've always been that way. You normal players just haven't seen it. Anybody that's had to have any contact with them knows they're not very good at dealing with the customers. They don't usually think about the customers, and they're too busy making games to worry about it. And as a mod maker, I can relate, to be honest. I don't like Bethesda as a company. I don't like the way they treat customers. I think customers should maintain a healthy distance away from developers, simply because the developers tend to forget that you're a paying customer if you don't. And then when they forget you're a paying customer, they forget you've got rights. And they start doing things like they did with Fallout 76 that deny you those rights. And I think no developer can afford to make that mistake. I am a paying customer of Bethesda. I have rights. I am not letting Bethesda take those rights away. And believe me, they tried, especially with the work I made. They thought anything made in their creation kit belonged to them, including things I made outside of the creation kit which got used in it. And they didn't ask me if they could have my property, they just assumed. And they came knocking on my door to remind me of that fact, and I had to tell them it was mine, not theirs. Voice files, graphics, stuff I made, that's not made on their creation kit, that's made by me. So sometimes you have to remind developers what is yours, what is theirs. You respect their copyright, and you demand they respect what you own. If you don't fight your corner, they'll tread all over you. So remember, healthy relationship. Now Bethesda, basically they work hard making the games they make. you know, and they should be given some credit for that. And whoever makes the business decisions, you know, regarding Fallout 76, probably isn't the guy making the games you like. It's probably somebody upstairs who decided to milk a brand for all it's worth. Unfortunately, when you get to be a 50-plus-year-old gamer, you see many of your favourite companies come and go. And the fair sign that they're about to go is when they start milking a brand for all it's worth. People lose faith in the brand, it devalues the brand, people stop buying the games, then it's brought up by somebody else, then it's closed. That's the cycle of life in the gaming community. But that doesn't mean, you know, it's the end of the world, because other companies come along, they make new games, they try to do better. Some people try to remake an old game, usually they fail, sometimes they do a better job. And then you get spiritual successors coming out. Life goes on, right? It doesn't stop when a company goes downhill. In fact, right now, we've got, just speaking from a sim point of view, right? We've got Planet Coaster, brilliant game. 2 Point Hospital, brilliant game. City Skylines, brilliant game. All simulations. Things might go, you might lose your Sim Cities, but then you get City Skylines instead, which is a far better game than SimCity ever was. And I played both. I played the original SimCity when it came out, and I've been a fan of the series ever since. And I even own SimCity 4, which was terrible. Right, but things improve. You want to see each game, or like Skyrim, as setting a standard for other companies to come and try and beat. Whether you like it or not, you know, there was problems with Skyrim, there's problems with Oblivion and Morrowind. But each one of them have led to a better game. Sometimes they try to make a game on a console, sort of strip down all the detail, annoying everybody that likes that detail. That just means the game's changing into something people don't like, you know, or it's changing audiences. They're casting off the audience that made them famous and trying to embrace a more mainstream audience. And that mainstream audience might not be as loyal as you were. But anyhow, the new year, I mean 2019 was a bit crap, wasn't it? But the new year brings new challenges, new games, and new things to look forward to. We should focus on them. And if we do get back into modding, or I do get back into modding and whatever, I could probably go for an older game. Might make me first mod for Fallout 4, who knows, you know, I quite like Fallout 4. Although I did prefer Fallout New Vegas, to be honest. But building your own settlement, that's definitely an advantage. I like that about Fallout 4. I also like charging around Skyrim with all the mods I've made installed. And there's a few mods in there that really need fixing for the SE version. But if I do, keep an eye on ModDB, right? Because ModDB is where my mods will be. Nanobyte Ghost is the name I mod under. I'll give up Discard because it was just a target for every troll in the book that felt he wanted to be an ass, right? And now I'm seeing less and less good mods coming out from people. So I know many of you guys miss the work I do, and I know you're not getting enough of that kind of mod to fill your desires. I don't either, to be honest, but I usually make what I want. But understand those mods take about 3 months to make when I do start making them, and that's when I'm familiar with the system and not having to relearn it. And over the years I've learned dozens of computer languages whilst modding, and I've forgotten every one of them as soon as I've stopped. I only keep it in my head whilst I'm using it, then I let go. But I will say this, whilst I like the Skyrim script engine and the way it can work, the simplicity of the Oblivion engine is an attraction of its own. It's less messing about and you get things done faster. But we will talk about that in another video. Not saying when, but it is a topic I'm still very much interested in. So, see you later.